Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience.
All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I am joined by my film bro friend, Lucy.
Nope.
Remember, you can join us every Monday and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines on all of our free feeds, and every other Wednesday on patreon.com/Filmistines for Patreon exclusive episodes. Our next Patreon exclusive episode will be us discussing the Saw franchise, all 10 films.
There's 10 films?
I believe so. That's why they call the last one Saw X. Some recent episodes include Pearl, Maxine, Longlegs, Minari, and the new Twisters. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. Come request a movie. Come subscribe for $1. Go rate us on Apple Podcasts too. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at HempvilleCBD.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we will be discussing the only MCU film of 2024, Shawn Levy's Deadpool and Wolverine. It was a long time coming, and I'm surprised it didn't get here sooner. We just prepped ourselves on the Deadpool trilogy of films, and of course we watched every single Marvel movie up to this point to prepare ourselves. And I will say the first Deadpool is kind of bad. Kind of a bad movie. Not a real movie. But they do kind of, in a funny way, correct course in Deadpool 2. We have a sad Deadpool trying to kill himself, has something to prove. Alright, that's kind of fun. We have this, at least husk of a plot. And then we have Deadpool and Wolverine. Are we calling it Deadpool 3?
Yeah.
We have this strange-ass meta-commentary on the state of the MCU and how void it is of original or new ideas. We have this really charming bromance between Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe a long time coming thing for fans. I'm not too familiar with their history as characters.
In the comics?
Yeah, just the whole history of them. I'm not sure what all that includes, to be honest. The backs of cereal boxes and what have you. We have this really interesting pull of Marvel Jesus being Deadpool, and we got a little hint of that in Deadpool 2. I was surprised to see that kind of echoed throughout, and it fit. I don't know to what degree, but there is this overemphasis on how bad the MCU is right now, or how bad the state of it is, or whatever. I'm really not too familiar with it because it's...
Don't you dare say it's all bad.
It's like someone threw a bunch of paint and a bunch of different colors at a wall and tried to describe to me what it was. And there may be something to it, but I really don't know how to approach what you're saying to me, kind of thing. It's a lot. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot of the audience building out the lore more than the movies do. It's just a lot, and I'm not here for it, generally. I'm not going to say they're bad. I have enjoyed several Marvel films. I'm guilty as charged. And I will say I enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine to some degree. The TVA sucks. The acknowledgement of Fox and its self-acknowledgement of how terrible the MCU is right now sucks. The bad guy here, our bald girl, sucks. The Void sucks, but is kind of funny. The humor sucks. But I guess I'm just not immune to the fun in how it's all laid out. I had a really good time watching this movie. And experience, like we've mentioned many times, is a very important part of watching a movie. This movie is supremely better than the first one and second one. But I'm very curious how you feel about this new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. What did you think of this acid trip?
This is not an acid trip whatsoever. At all. And Deadpool 1 is not a bad movie.
Here, shots fired.
You're just fighting now. Deadpool 1 is a love story. So I don't know how that can get bad. It's an origin story and it's a love story. Best of both worlds. Is Deadpool 2 better than Deadpool 1? Yeah, it has a lot more going on, but that doesn't mean Deadpool 1 sucks. Let's start there. This new movie is amazing. I loved it. I'm not the biggest fan of the X-Men movies. It's been a while since I've seen any of them. And I don't even remember which ones I have seen or haven't seen.
I know they're very controversial as a whole.
Yeah. But this movie had the blood, it had the guts, it had the gore. It even had some desecration of graves. It was hilarious. Maybe you just don't have a good sense of humor right now. But this movie was hilarious. Especially with Deadpool's classic fourth wall breaks. I love them. The stupid jokes, I love them. The fighting scenes were some of the best fighting scenes in the MCU. Especially the end fighting scene with this old boy style of fighting. It was awesome. We make this reference to Deadpools are a dime a dozen. And next thing you know, we have a shit ton of Deadpools and all these cameos, and it was hilarious. The plot is a bit shaky. The timeline is a bit confusing. At least to me. You know, I'm not well versed on the X-Men side of it, and I'm not super familiar with at least the newer Avengers side of it, like the Loki references with the TVA. I didn't watch the show, and I've probably been missing out on the last, 5 Marvel movies. And I do agree with you that the bad guy is pretty lame. We should have done more with Cassandra.
She was just a stupid excuse to tie these two to like the X-Men.
Yes.
And to make the joke. It's like, oh, is that Xavier? It's like,
yes, and we needed her to go back to our timeline. Except we didn't need her exactly. We needed Doctor Strange's ring. But whatever. She was pretty lame.
And of course she can threaten the whole universe, the many universes, just like everyone else can.
Right.
I have a problem with that if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, sounds like you have a lot of problems here. But as far as how her character physically looked, I wasn't mad at. She looked pretty nasty.
Yeah, she looked cool.
Yeah, she looked cool.
She looked a little bit like Emma Stone. Without hair.
I don't know about that. But nonetheless, we have this story here about frenemies fighting for the greater good.
More like boyfriends.
No, not more like boyfriends. Maybe Deadpool.
Yeah.
Maybe in Deadpool's mind this was his boyfriend, but definitely not Wolverine. Wolverine was sick of his shit. We have a redemption story for both Deadpool and Wolverine. And a healing journey. We have the classic MCU cinematography. We've managed to make the CG look cool. I don't really know what is CG or not in this movie, but it all looked cool. We have an awesome millennial soundtrack. The sound design was awesome, especially in the fighting scenes. I can't get over it. Great performances and a semi-obscure casting choice, but I'm not mad at it. I kind of like it. Overall, it was a great movie, great watch, great movie to go see at the movie theater with that sound design. And I think it's a movie everyone should go watch.
Yeah, this movie's out of control, and the wiki is also out of control. If you go to the cast, it gives you a fucking history lesson on all the characters.
Yeah, you actually have to read, not just look at the bullet points. Like, you know, the purpose of a bullet point is to look at information quickly and make some rational thoughts on it, but here you actually have to go in and read it.
Yeah, we're not looking at the wiki of Wolverine or Deadpool.
Right.
We're on the movie wiki looking at the cast. Yeah, I thought the inclusion of Blade, Elektra, and Gambit was something. Gambit was fun. I like that I couldn't understand him. I don't know what that's about. Channing Tatum was probably the best part of this movie. Maybe outside of Hugh Jackman. But he was so underserved that I don't even know what to really think of him.
Probably because you can barely understand Channing Tatum in some of his roles.
He's funny. He's got a weird cadence to him. He's actually a funny person, I think. The inclusion of those guys, and the little Wolverine girl, who's now an adult, I guess, was weird. That could have been anyone. There was no point for them to be who they were. They were just this persistent point of, you remember these guys and how pointless they are and how they don't matter, like a lot of what we get in The Void is. I kind of thought it was a little bit of a stroke of genius with Deadpool mentioning Furiosa by name because of how bad Furiosa did in the box office, because that might be the last we see of Mad Max. But at the same time, it's funny to see a movie like Furiosa push the bounds of that level of production, this level of production, and it actually be special when we have this severely underbaked meta commentary on exactly what this movie is going to be in 10 years, and that's forgotten.
But that's the charm of the Deadpool movies.
See, I get that, but that can't be the justification at every turn we take. Especially when Disney's at the helm of this, and also at the helm of all the pieces of shits that they're making. They can't be in on the joke and say the joke.
Yeah, I understand that, and I also have a slight problem with that. We know Shawn Levy is not
the best director.
Or a Disney guy.
Oh, he's not?
I don't think so.
He did do Night at the Museum when I was a young chap. I liked those movies.
Are those Disney?
I don't think so. They are probably Fox. That's probably where they absorbed him from.
His previous movie before this was The Adam Project. And yeah, he did the Night at the Museum movies, all of them, I believe. And he also worked with Ryan Reynolds on Free Guy. But he's not a Disney person. So it's like he's making the jokes and Disney's okaying the jokes. Like, okay, we'll allow you to make fun of us. Let's see where this goes. It's not like Disney decided to make this film purely to have this weird meta commentary on what's going on in the MCU right now. But why are you okay with it, Disney? That's weird. That's weird. Why are you okay with making fun of yourself for something that's taken so seriously, like these films? Except Deadpool, of course. Not to mention, we also have Ryan Reynolds working on this. He was part of the writing process. He's a producer. Deadpool is his baby. And I know he's said in interviews before that he doesn't think Disney would let him continue as Deadpool. But now that they have, he's saying his own piece about it, his own commentary about it. But I'm just surprised Disney would allow this to be said.
Yeah, it makes this movie really strange. All the way through. Which makes me feel strangely about it because I don't hate it. There's a lot to not like about this movie because it is a bunch of nonsense.
But that's the Deadpool charm.
And I get that. And I think it holds me on for the ride. Especially with Wolverine there too. I like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. I like his cadence and his gruffiness. It's cool. And I will say I really like the beginning of this movie. I think it's actually pretty good. I mean, I say that, but it kind of shoots itself in the foot in some way at the very end with our weird Fox tribute. Because we have this, I'm not going to disrespect the history of, the Fox properties, basically. And then proceed to shit all over them with Deadpool killing these guys with the Wolverine from the Logan movie. Which is cool. It's fine. It went on probably a little too long. But it was cute.
It did not go on a little too long.
But then at the very end, we have this strange-ass tribute to the Fox movies. Like, there's some respect here when we just couldn't have been more disrespectful. Disney isn't the good guy. They are the bad guys, constantly putting themselves in corners because they're full of untalented people who have the rights to many people's childhoods. And so we can just inject everything with senseless nostalgia. Writing doesn't matter. Production doesn't matter. Direction doesn't matter. But does Deadpool and his presence and his fourth wall breaking and jabs at Disney justify it? Am I just not in on the joke? Am I missing something?
I did find the tribute a little weird at the end. It wasn't very flowy. It wasn't very put together like a tribute. It was just, oh yeah, here's a tribute. Slap it on at the end. But I didn't find the Fox jokes disrespectful. I think it's just a situation where you need to laugh about the things that are going on. Deadpool is this guy who just says things. He just talks and doesn't shut the fuck up. He's ADHD and doesn't process shit, which is what makes him hilarious. My biggest problem with the movie is this plot that just doesn't make sense to me, and that's where I don't know if I am missing something from the previous films that I'm not putting together.
Me too.
Because Deadpool finds out that his world is about to be blown up because we lost our sweetheart to this particular Earth. I don't know what
Anchor.
The anchor. Yes, the anchor being, which is Wolverine.
For us normies, the TVA, or whatever they're called, should have made it a little more clear that the anchor in one timeline isn't necessarily the same anchor in another. Because I was like, is Logan the anchor in all of the universe? I had no idea.
Right.
But maybe that's just a miss on me because I didn't see the rest of the shows and what have you.
Right. And I was confused on why Vanessa was alive.
Well, that's the end credits of Deadpool 2.
Right. So the end credits of Deadpool 2 shows him that he gets the time machine from Cable. His time little thingy. But apparently there's another end credit scene that I did not see where he actually brings back Vanessa and we see that interaction go on, which I completely missed. Because I don't know where he's going with that. To me, he just went back to the Avengers to beg for a job. And then here she is. I was a bit confused on that. But again, that was probably just me. And I didn't understand why Paradox told Deadpool of this to begin with.
Yeah, why did he call upon him? Why didn't he just end their timeline?
Yeah.
Stupid.
That was weird.
Stupid is what it was. The TVA, or this rogue TVA guy, obviously has a lot of power in the multiverse, right? A rogue TVA guy needs to have more explanation of what's going on because he is a significant problem if he's gone rogue.
Yes.
That's bigger than Thanos level stuff.
Yes.
So,
he can fuck shit up. Yeah.
But he's just this bad guy of the week kind of guy. But he's a bigger deal than Thanos, at least from my point of view.
No, I'm totally with you. And I guess in my mind, I wrapped it up as, that doesn't matter. I'm with Deadpool. We just need another Wolverine. So I went along with it. I'm cool with it. All right, let's move on. But then we got to Cassandra. And we had that little interaction in the beginning when we have that scene where she degloves, I guess, debodies the Human Torch, played by Chris Evans. Was that really him? I don't know. He looked weird as fuck.
He was CG'd out the ass, yes.
Okay. And you can kind of tell Cassandra's going to be the bad guy, but then we move along and we continue our story. And then I was a bit confused on to why she was introduced in the first place. But then we go back to her and then, it turns out we need her to go back to her timeline. But that was just a bit weird. But then she comes back after she sends them through their timeline. And I didn't understand what she wanted. Yes, she wanted to come back to put Paradox in his place for lying to her and saying, hey, you said you would leave me alone. You have this world, I have mine. And now you're disrespecting that boundary we drew. Cool. I thought you were going to kill him and go back. But then now you wanted to do what with the timelines? I wasn't sure.
She just wanted to wipe him out. right?
All timelines?
I guess. I mean, I don't know what the goal is in that because you'd also be gone.
Yes.
I guess. I'm not sure.
Or you'd go back to the void?
Yeah, maybe the void exists outside of the timelines completely, so maybe it'd be untouched.
But then how do you get new recruits to feed that cloud guy? I don't remember his name. So that left me a little bit like, what the fuck? But again, I can completely ignore it. A lot of superhero movies are like that. They have that weirdness to them.
Bad storytelling, you mean?
Bad storytelling with the villain. Except Thanos. Thanos, amazing.
The Thanos setup is very cool. They spent, 8 years building it out. They actually had some juice behind this vision, so it worked out for the most part, no doubt, yeah.
Yeah, they had a goal, and they had micro goals for Thanos.
They sure did.
But here, it was very like, what the fuck? But you know what? I'm rolling with it.
How does this add to the bigger picture of the MCU outside of introducing Deadpool and Wolverine to the MCU?
I guess it's introducing the TVA? Not sure. Again, I haven't seen some of the past films, but from what I could gather, is the TVA only mentioned in the Loki series? And now we're introducing that to the whole movies?
How does that add to a bigger objective, though? I don't care about the presences of characters so much.
Well, we just said that the TVA has the potential to be one of the biggest bad guys. Are they going to go that way? Is that what this is about? Or is it just solely to introduce Deadpool and Wolverine, which again, not mad at. They make a great duo.
Where are all the other heroes? If this is such a big problem, the potential to be multi-dimensional ending, where are the many Doctor Stranges or the other guys who can actually make a difference?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what timeline we're in.
I don't even know if it matters because it feels like the many timelines are all excuses for what the writers want to happen.
Yes. And I like that Deadpool addresses this. He says it in the movie. Like, whatever, we just roll with it because this is what it is.
But it's a problem.
Is it a problem, though?
Yes, you can't have stories that are of any consequence. Where's the humanity in any of this?
Yes, but how many people are gonna love this movie? How many people are seeing this movie? I guess we don't care. We just want a good show on that screen. We don't care for the storytelling and these superhero movies. Or we don't care as much.
And this is kind of tapping into one reason I like this movie, because this movie is self-aware enough to know that it doesn't need to be a good movie to be loved. It needs things like these characters of old and just this dopamine rush of stuff happening. Because they never slow down in this movie. They are moving through time, location to location, Furiosa reference, big fight, meeting these old characters, seeing Gambit or whatever for the first time, Cassandra, TVA shit, meeting all the Deadpools, meeting the cool, groovy Deadpool, whatever he's called, I don't know. The one with long hair and the dog.
Nice pool.
Nice pool. It never slows down, so, it's got that YouTube energy.
That ADHD energy that we all have.
So I don't know, there's some coolness to that. Especially in its self-awareness. But how do people care about this when nothing matters? How do people care about these characters when nothing matters?
I don't know what you mean by nothing matters.
They can just bring whoever back at any time. They can just go find a different one we just saw, right? Which was a fun sequence, I will say. I liked that little montage.
But that's the point. That's not where it was supposed to go. But Deadpool is just so Deadpool that he's like, oh, I can fix your problem for you. And he goes and pulls a Wolverine, and we have this fun little montage of different Wolverines we're trying to bring back until we find the worst one we can possibly find.
Who was the best one?
Who was the best one?
Because he has issues.
Yes.
He's got real issues, which we didn't explore. They were right there, but we get this one little scene to help trick Cassandra into wearing the helmet that was almost good. Wolverine's character was almost a real character. But I appreciate that in this movie. In the greater scheme of the MCU, I don't think that makes sense. Does it?
Oh, I completely agree. It only works for this movie.
Which is ultimately acknowledged through Deadpool's self-proclamation of being Marvel Jesus. But Jesus died for our sins. Another recognition of Disney's sins on the Marvel Universe. But that joke only makes sense if this is the last of the MCU for 3 days, I guess.
That's funny.
So I don't know if there's actual joke there, but I don't know. It's just frustrating. I'm frustrated by this movie on some level.
No, I definitely get it to some degree, because we also have this idea with Deadpool of him wanting to matter.
Which is hilarious. Another self-acknowledgement of nothing mattering. But like you said, that only works with a Deadpool-like figure, I guess, because that's his shtick. But it feels like it's kind of imploding on itself. Because that joke only works. Because the joke, nothing matters, in the MCU only works if, yes, you're acknowledging nothing actually matters in the MCU. People dying doesn't matter. The villains don't matter. They're inconsequential. Are people going to walk away from Deadpool and Wolverine and say, yes, I love Deadpool and Wolverine? Or are they going to say, yes, I love what the MCU is doing?
Well, I think both. Because that is literally what is being said out there in the reviews and the medias and whatnot. The MCU is back. So I don't know if people are separating the two.
This is frightening. At the very worst.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. It all depends on what comes after this.
It's true. I've been telling myself for a long time, maybe even on here, that I think Disney has prepared itself for a couple years now for a big kind of pendulum swing into a Thanos-like direction again. And we won't know for some time, and we'll have to kind of acknowledge it retroactively. But maybe this isn't when our Marvel Jesus dies, but when is resurrected. This is the second coming for Marvel. We'll know that in 5 years, right? Maybe this is the turning of a new leaf for the MCU.
Yeah, you don't know. You from the future? Putting aside the weak plot, which, again, is almost a trope at this point with superhero movies, the rest of the movie is amazing. And I love how we keep it so Deadpool. From the iconic fourth wall breaks to some of the camera work itself, at some points gets very shaky, almost like it's being filmed with a handheld camera, like right before he's about to break the fourth wall. They're very slight, but they were noticeable and I love them. We even keep this Deadpool signature of starting a film with some sort of badass action, and then he's like, "You're wondering how I got here," and then proceeds to give us a flashback and then brings us back to that cool action scene. I mean, he's done this in the first, the second, and now the third movie.
Do we like that? Is that okay?
I love that. I love it. It's just so... I wish I could come up with another term for fourth wall break, but it's so fourth wall breaking.
Fifth wall.
Fifth wall breaking.
That's when it blows your mind.
It's blowing my mind.
I was like, here we go again.
Exactly. But not like that. It's, yes, here we go again.
This one was much better than the other two, though.
With that.
With the intro and a lot of what else happens in the movie, I think.
One thing I really enjoyed about the other Deadpool movies that we didn't seem to have here was the opening credits. In the opening credits of Deadpool and Deadpool 2, we have these funny descriptions instead of people's actual names and roles. Like some of the ones from the first movie are starring God's perfect idiot, or written by the real heroes here and directed by an overpaid fool. Like, you know, these little descriptive titles, so to say. But we completely lost that here. And when the film began, I justified it to myself. Okay, you know, this is Disney now, not Fox. Maybe we had to make some of these compromises. But then the whole film continues to be a Deadpool raunchy mess that I didn't understand why we couldn't keep that.
I mean, just the intro there where Deadpool is destroying folks with Logan's innards
Yeah.
is much more crude than anything from either two
Yes.
films.
Yes. Agreed.
And I saw that there were like 30% more F-bombs in this than the second one, which I think held the record for most F-bombs in an R-rated movie before, I think.
Wow. So why couldn't we keep that? Is that just not charming anymore? I don't know. It just feel like it's one of his signatures that we have to keep it. And yeah, I mean, we have a lot of the raunchiness still in this film, like the intro scene when he's making all these henchmen fight and making them look like they're having sex, or the scene where he gets a new suit and he's getting fondled every other cut, or like probably my least favorite scene and my least favorite scenes in any films, not just this one, is when the dog is licking his mouth. That's just nasty. I don't know if that was real or not. If Ryan Reynolds is getting licked in the mouth by a real dog. Don't know if it's CG'd. I mean, I know people in real life do that kind of shit. No, a dog's mouth is clean. Like, I don't know. I don't know the justification, but I gag when dogs lick my elbow, so I can only imagine if it gets anywhere near my face. Just nasty. And we have this here. I know we make the jokes about the cocaine not allowed to show it, but I guess we can say it, and we can say we're not allowed to show it. So it didn't make sense to me why we couldn't keep these phrases in the opening credits. I don't know how you can say that the introduction went on a little bit too long. I'm assuming you're referring to NSYNC's Bye 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 choreography, which was probably the most hilarious thing in this movie. Which, by the way, was not Ryan Reynolds dancing, but it was credited to Nick Pauli. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds can't dance, so somebody had to do that for him.
That's hilarious. I assumed he definitely did that.
Right? That seems like something he'd totally do. But it was awesome. I mean, it was beat per beat, like the dance itself. Like the music video, I don't know if it's a music video or they just dance like that in concerts or what, but that's the dance.
I mean, that's very cool and all, and that helps justify that action sequence and intro going on so long for sure. It's just not funny. It just doesn't land with me. It's a great song. It's a great premise of a sequence. And I appreciate the embracement of basically a music video. But I don't love it.
You mentioned earlier that this movie was not funny, but I completely disagree with you. This movie was hilarious. All the jokes were hilarious. We have the Gossip Girl joke, which killed me. That was in the beginning. We have all the jokes on Hugh Jackman being in The Greatest Showman, saying that, hey, he does musicals too. And then in one of the car fight scenes, when he's flipping through the radio, we have a song come on from The Greatest Showman. We even have a retarded joke, which was hilarious. And I noticed that this was the one joke at the movie theater people did not laugh. So I don't know if we're not laughing at retarded anymore, if that's completely been canceled.
What was the joke?
The joke between Blade and Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
That was hilarious, and people didn't laugh at it, but they laughed at everything else. So I don't know, it felt weird because I was one of the only ones that laughed.
Yeah, I'm curious how Blake Lively is going to play a role in the future of the Deadpool movies, because she's going to play Lady Pool or Mrs. Deadpool, whatever she is. So now there's going to be an extra level of meta humor there, especially when Deadpool got Vanessa. Is Lady Pool going to kill Vanessa? Is it masturbation if they hook up?
Well, they're different people, so no. Is he kissing himself when he kisses that dog? No.
Sort of.
No.
The funniest thing to me, though, was Gambit, probably. Just his whole thing. Although, after the first or second time, Deadpool couldn't understand him, not smiling at it anymore. So what do you think about the very inconsequential ending?
Yeah, that was a cool ending. I half expected people to clap at the movie theater, but I guess we don't do that anymore.
Thank God.
I like that loophole that, well, you said one of us would die, but if there's two of us, we wouldn't die.
It's just this further embrace of what's said doesn't matter, but kind of in the other direction where there is an actual loophole. It's like, oh, okay. It's kind of funny. It's stupid, but it works. Does it only work because it's Deadpool? I'll let you know in the next Marvel movie.
Yeah.
One major problem I have with that ending, though, is the big boss TVA lady that came to punish our rogue TVA guy. It didn't matter. She should have vaporized him or something right there. Like, that's something you don't fuck around with, you know?
What did they do to him?
Well, it says here that they arrested him, so there's no telling what comes with that. He could be on some death row thing, but...
So this could also be like a origin story to this bad guy, if they wanted to. Which I don't think so, but it could be.
Well, man, I think that just about covers it for Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you for watching this movie and talking about it here today.
You're welcome.
Do you have a budget guess?
I'm shooting high with this one. The movie was 2 hours, 8 minutes. It's a Marvel film. There's a lot of moving pieces. So I'm going with 175.
I don't know how a movie could cost $175 million, but this somehow cost more at $200 million.
Oh, wow. 200 million?
Yep.
I wonder what the last Marvel movie cost.
And apparently it's went on to make, just under a week, $590 million. It's definitely on track to break that billion.
Yeah, it looks like The Marvels was the last MCU movie with a budget of $274.8 million. Wow. You can make like 5 movies with that budget. And the box office was $206 million.
Oh man, that may have been one of Disney's biggest busts to date. I didn't realize that was such a miss.
Yes. But good. I'm glad Deadpool is doing great. It deserves it.
Over on Letterboxd with 575,000 people, they've weighed in at a 3.7. Very high, especially for a superhero movie.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm leaning towards. Originally, I was leaning towards a 4, but that was coming out of the movie theater very high off of this movie.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, you have to be careful. I think after today's discussion, though, I'm going to drop it back to 3.5.
Oh man, that's all my work did.
Yeah, that's all your work did. Shitting on Disney and the MCU is Deadpool's shtick. So it works. It works here. Everything was great about this movie. Just the plot was what put me back a little bit. We could have done way better with that, especially introducing a character like Wolverine.
Wolverine was definitely the biggest missed opportunity. We got this hint of inner turmoil. We literally hear it when Cassandra goes in his head. It's just a trick. We didn't really get any proper character redemption with him other than providing him purpose and something bigger than himself. Not totally unlike providing that with Deadpool as well, which is cool. I just think it's a little half-baked. And I think I will meet you about halfway. I think I'm feeling maybe a 2.5. Because I was thinking maybe a 2.
Wow.
But then I thought about where I placed Deadpool 1 and 2. And Deadpool 1 is a solid 1.5.
Oh, wow.
And Deadpool 2, I was thinking it's almost a 2.5. But it's a solid 2. We get this hint of family mattering in this depressed Deadpool. It's kind of cute.
So it's not because I convinced you that this is a better movie, but because you're fixing your rating scale based off the 2 previous films.
To some degree, but I think this movie actually has an ounce of fun in it too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's something that I can't ignore. That's something I have to be cautious of when I categorize these films in my head. The experience matters, right? how fun a movie matters. It's not all about the punchiness or powerful kind of stickiness with you, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking a 2.5 because I also like this meta implosion that's happening right before our eyes. And if the MCU starts to see an upswing, this might be retroactively even a better movie on some level. Because there is some kind of bigger self-awareness happening there that I appreciate. Disney, of all entities, should be very much aware of where they're headed. But from my point of view, it seems like they really don't know what they're doing. Well, man, thank you again for talking about this movie here today, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Filmistines. Remember, we post every Monday and Friday with brand new episodes on all of our free feeds, and every other Wednesday on patreon.com/Filmistines for Patreon exclusive episodes. Our next episode will be on the very strange Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Terry Gilliam film, The Man Who Brought You Monty Python. Are you excited for that movie?
No.
That's okay. Please look forward to that. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe for $1. Come request a movie. Go rate us on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmistines, signing off.